Hello everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and I have kind of an interesting thank you note to do with you today. I've already started the prep work, and I'll talk you through what I did on that part of the prep work, and then we'll finish the card itself together. This video was actually inspired by Christina Werner and as well as Jennifer McGuire. I've been watching some of the things that they're doing with distress inks and distress markers lately, especially Christina Werner. And I decided to adapt some of those techniques. So if you are not, I will do a link to some of her, to Christina Werner's videos to show you kind of where I learned this technique. And so you can skip over there and see that if you would like. And then I've adapted it to fit me. Now the first thing that I did that you've seen me do many times before is I made a ribbon flower. Now this ribbon is 3 Girl Jam, and this is Harvest Orange. And then I have a piece of 3 Girl Jam Thank You flare in the middle, and it was a perfect match. The flare itself is yellow, but coming through there's a little bit darker yellow, almost an orangey color of a pattern paper behind it, and so I thought that that would be perfect. Plus right now there is a challenge going on that ends at the end of the week, I think Friday, which would be about the 29th or so. Is Thursday, I think, is the last day to enter, Thursday or Friday, and it is encouraging you to use yellow and orange and green. So I decided to use the yellow and the orange using 3 Girl Jam products. So now we're going to move along to the card itself. Now the first thing that I have here is a piece, and it's kind of wrinkly a little bit, but I have a piece of actual watercolor paper here. Now I just picked mine up at Joann's, and it was in their dollar spot. I think I paid $1 or $1.50 for this little pad of it. This is really thin, very inexpensive watercolor. I've heard that Tim Holtz watercolor paper is wonderful. I've never used it, and there are lots of others. I've actually even purchased watercolor in a big pad before, so you might want a little bit better quality watercolor paper for this technique, but it's something fun. Then I also pulled out 3 distress marker colors. Again, keeping in with that 3 Girl Jam challenge, I've got Mustard Seed, Spice Marmalade, and Forest Moss. And then I also used my Post-it tape. If you saw a recent video, I used that, and you can kind of see it's a mess here. And what I did is I masked off a piece along the bottom just like this, because I wanted a piece to stay totally white. And then let's turn it over and I'll tell you what I did on the top. So then on the bottom I just scribbled across with the yellow color, and then some orange, and then some of the green, blending them into each other, and then I sprayed it with my homemade Perfect Pearl. So coming through a little bit you have some sparkle, and then you see all the water dots. I used my Perfect Pearls, I dumped it in my hand, and then I just kind of flicked it from my hand to get the spots. And then when that was all dry, I used my heat gun to kind of speed it up. I pulled off my Post-it note, which was right here. You can see right where it was. I pulled that off, and then I stamped my image. And this was, I think I got this tip from Jennifer McGuire, and I'll link that below too. This is actually Versamark, and what I did is I inked up my stamp, and this is a paper tray ink stamp, Counting My Blessings, and I inked it up with the Versamark, and then I took my Spice Marmalade and put it over the top so that I have the color coming through, but that the embossing powder will still stick to it. And so then I embossed it with just clear embossing powder, just to give it a little bit more pop and texture. So then I have this piece of paper, and this is actually from the Spice Market collection from Recollections, and this is going to be the base to go behind our card. And I just barely wanted just a little bit, so what I've done here is this piece of paper is cut at 3 1/4 inches wide by 5 1/2 inches tall, because I want it to be the full height of the card. And so then this one I just added a little bit more, and so this is 3.5 inches wide by 5.5. So let's go ahead and adhere those together, because that's kind of going to be the next step at this point. And I want to use plenty of adhesive. And you'll see, originally I was thinking, you know, I could save myself some paper if I just cut a couple strips and adhered a couple small strips on. But I decided that for the card that I'm going for, I want it to be really kind of heavy. And besides, with the warping of this inexpensive watercolor paper, I wanted to have a nice solid extra base just to kind of take care of some of that warping. So there is the basic card part. This card is actually a thank you note for a man. And so I wanted it to be a little bit more masculine feel, but still doing some new techniques. So then I took a piece of white cardstock. This cardstock is the Stamper Select cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. I think that's what it's called. It's their basic white. And I keep that in a big pack, and I really like the weight of it better than my normal Georgia Pacific cardstock. So I've cut that in the long ways. So this is an 11.5 by 4.25, and I've scored it at 5.5 for my standard A2 size card. So now we are going to adhere our card base down, and honestly the card is almost done. Believe it or not, it's just almost done. So I'm going to put this, I'm just going to center that because I wanted plenty of white showing on either side. I just thought that was really simple, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this flower. Now I know I said this was a masculine card, and it is, but it can still have a little bit of flair, right? So I'm going to add that to the top, just like that. So I'm going to use some glossy accents. This flare, when I make my flowers, and I've made these and shown videos of me making them before, but I cut out a circle of cardstock, and in this case I just had some scrap. It's actually vintage cream from Paper Tray Ink, and it was just scraps that I had. I wouldn't use a whole sheet because I tend to hoard my Paper Tray Ink cardstock, but it was just a piece of it that I used. But I want to, because of the extra weight that the flare and the ribbon places on it, I want to be sure that it does not come up. So that's why I'm using glossy accents. If it was a little bit lighter weight, I could probably get by. I'm going to actually move that down a little bit lower than I thought because I just smeared my glossy accents a little bit. There we go. I could actually get by probably with using my ATG, but I just thought this would give it a little more stay to it because it is being mailed clear across the country. So there we have it. Clean up that little bit of glossy accents I've got under there. And so this is kind of a combination. It says thank you for all you do now. And I just thought that was just kind of a fun thing. I could also, if I wanted to, I could have put it down here. And in fact, I can't now because of the glossy accents. That perhaps would have looked a little bit better had I moved it down. But I think it's going to be just fine just like that. So there we have our card. Thank you so much for stopping by. I think I'm going to add one more element before we go away. Just looking at it, I think I'm going to grab my corner chomper, and I had it ready here because I wasn't sure if I was going to use it or not, but I think I'm going to. And I am going to just round the bottom corners just for one more little sense of interest right there. So there we have it. Thank you for all you do. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.